Guys, thank you so much for watching the show. We have a great guest today with Mr. Basil Baz on Wednesday, March 5th, 2025 at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. You have a very storied history and you've been on the show a million times. If you guys go into the description, you can actually find the link to ARC, the Association for the Recovery of Children. And I always say this, whenever I have on a guest, I always put in the description, whatever their Twitter, their website, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, if I'm not interviewing that guest, they're not in the description. So if I have on Dr. McCullough, I put it in his Twitter. If I'm interviewing Baz, I don't put Dr. McCullough's Twitter in the description. Baz is an exception in that for every episode, there is a link to ARC, and that is the Association for the Recovery of Children. No matter who the guest is, it is right there. So you can go to it. You can learn more about it. You can try to find the signs and symptoms of it in your community. Maybe see something that you've been unknowingly blind to, and once you learn about it, you'll see like a sore thumb. How to donate, and I always say, you guys aren't. This isn't some Susan Komen awareness thing. This is not awareness. This is literal boots on literal ground going and rescuing children. You guys are archangels. You are Saint Michael on earth. And so you have the most coveted, no matter who, you're in every description, Baz. And it may not be much, but that is the highest honor I can give to anyone. So with that, I'm going to hand it away to you, sir. We can talk about, actually, just let's jump right into what you were just telling me about who was fired this morning.
Yeah. Hey, thanks. Good to be with you, Tommy. As
Sir.
always, thank you for being a big voice for American truth and all of those things.
Yes,
As
sir.
you know, that years ago, we were one of the first teams on the ground, Chattanooga, Tennessee, to uncover the night flights that were coming in, bringing immigrant children illegally into the United States, putting them on buses, and then mysteriously distributing them across different parts of America. That story's been told a number of times. The story that was also told was that we sent our report up to the Biden administration via ICE, and ICE called us back later, or a representative in ICE, and said, "Hey, this is the Biden administration is in charge of this and have told us hands off." So there you go, right there. The Biden administration was involved and it has been involved in the largest child trafficking mechanism in the history of the United States. So along with that, of course, there was the Biden's open border policy, and of course, we had more illegal children being trafficked into the United States by the cartel, and the recipients of those children are totally unknown. I think that many people remember Congress asking where are the 63,000 children that the Biden administration brought in here, and the answer was, well, we don't know. So that happened, and then of course Tom Homan made the most recent statement that said we have, and I don't want to misquote him, but I thought he said like 500,000 illegal immigrant children somewhere in America. And that's probably on top of the probably already existing 432,000 American children that we haven't found. And those numbers shift, they change. You know, not all those kids are being trafficked. Some are just runaways. But I would say in our line of work, uh, close to probably 85% of them are being trafficked, or child porn, or for organ harvesting, or whatever it may be. So now we have close to 1 million children that have come in unaccounted for. And what's interesting is that when they came through, there were a number of organizations that just popped up, like MVM and Catholic Charities, and all of these organizations that literally got millions and millions and millions dollars with no oversight for them to receive children and distribute those children across America. And through a number of whistleblowers, since that has all taken place, we know that a lot of those children were not given to families, were not given to vetted people that had been vetted to see if they weren't pedophiles. Some of those children were just dropped off. And so this is a really bad thing that has happened in our country. So we're always talking about accountability. And the really great thing about 47 is that, excuse me, is that when he tells people they're going to be held accountable, he really means they're going to be held accountable. I just got this in from one of our sources that top Trump official overseeing migrant children program removed today. That was Melissa Harper, and she was the acting director of the Office of Refugee Resettlement. She told the staff in the email that she was informed on Tuesday that her detail to the agency had been terminated. And so you know what? If you're not doing your job, you're probably not going to hang around very long. I don't know how long. I have to go back. I don't know how long she's been in charge of that program, but I will tell you that if in fact she was part of that during the Biden administration, she did a horrible job, and their staff did a horrible job because now the deal for all of us is go out and find the children, um, so that we can protect them. So things are happening in America, um, when it comes to this issue. But we got our hands full, with all this. This should have never happened. This should have never happened. And of course, most of America realizes this, the treasonous acts of former administration. And I'm not ashamed to say it, of Biden, Harris, a lot of Democratic senators. There could have been some Republicans too, So I mean, this happens across the aisle. But what they literally did to this country or tried to do to this country, um, is totally shameful. And I hope and pray that there's some accountability for them as well, when it comes to possibly federal crimes that were committed. So we're still, the old thing, follow the money, you find the crime. Let's talk about that money issue as well. And I think that when you hear people start screaming, particularly the Democrats, about, you know, Elon Musk should not be able to look into the U.S. Treasury and he shouldn't be able to go here. You know what? If you have nothing to hide, you're generally pretty transparent. It's like, yeah, you want to look? Go ahead, look. But when people are afraid that somebody's going to find something, uh, they really do a really heavy job of covering it up.
And we should clarify that that statement doesn't, it's not the same as when applied to private citizens. So if somebody says, Tommy, we're going to tap your phone. If you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't be worried. No, 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 that's bullshit. This is public officials using public funds.
Yeah,
There is a completely different standard. It doesn't matter whether you have something to hide or not something to hide. You're a public servant using public funds. You should be clear as an X-ray. And I think that's where you see the freaking out is at best it's they've got a grift going on and they're lining their pockets for their campaigns. At worst, they're complicit in not only treasonous but outright morally depraved activity revolving around human
yeah,
trafficking, sex trafficking, organ harvesting.
yeah, absolutely.
Kind of
One of
no
the
way
things I love,
around it.
yeah, no, you're right. One of the things I love about 47 or President Trump, well, there's a lot of things I love about what he's doing and who he is. Um, and is that um, he's going to find out, he's going to dig, and he's going to hold people responsible for this. And he's already starting to do that with a lot of these issues. But one thing he did, and when he just said he fought for the people, he made that statement at the time. He said, they're not after me, they're after you, the people. And it was true. So I think Americans need to remember in our Constitution, we the people. So when we talk about transparency and you're using our tax dollars in our country, we get to see, which kind of segues into, you and I were going to talk a little bit about the Epstein files, you know, um,
Yeah.
with all the pages that are missing and stuff.
Yeah.
I know we put people in positions where we ask them to represent us and kind of keep the law in its lane, so to speak, whether it's the DOJ or whoever it may be. But we, the people, have a right to see every single thing. If a crime is committed, we have a right to see it. If there's a bill to be passed, we have a right to see it. And so when I look at the Epstein files, and once again, it's like there's kind of a cover up with that, with the what is the 2,000 pages that are finally showing up, or maybe won't show up. We have a right to see that. The American people have a right. Now that's the difference between what President Trump thinks about this issue or these type of issues and what some people in bureaucracy think about these issues. President Trump, and I can't read his mind from everything he's expressed, we the people get to look. He released wants to release the Kennedy files, let's release the 9/11 commission unredacted.
Yeah,
Okay.
17 pages.
But all of a sudden other people start covering stuff up. Now I know why they redact stuff. There's a couple of reasons. Sometimes there's a good reason, like in the clandestine community,
Well, yeah, sure.
you may
Sources and
redact,
methods. Yeah,
yeah,
agent.
someone's
I
name
get
because you
that.
don't
Yeah.
need an undercover guy being exposed. But when it comes to all the other stuff that's being redacted, um, generally I lean towards somebody's trying to cover something up. Somebody's afraid.
Yeah, I'm not naive. I'm not, sweet summer child. Like, I get it. I know that there's not only classified technology and weapon system, there's clandestine agents. I understand it's not always black and white. It's a gray area, and I get that, and I think it's one of the things that you probably only understand after being in it for 40 years. Yeah, the world's not a pretty place, and yeah, it's not your knee-jerk reaction to some things might be that's not good, but that's how the world works. That's how global hegemony works. I understand all that. I'm not 10 years old. Not that's not directed at you. What I'm not for is I'm 100% not for anything that revolves around the sexual intercourse with children. That's, hey, when you go, this is a program that's classified, and you go, well, how come how come we have men, and infiltrating Chinese chip fabrication factories. It's like, hey, they're doing it here. That's how the world works. And I know it seems like bullshit, but guess what? It's kill or be killed. I understand all of that. I really do. I get placement of nuclear weapon. I mean, I'm reading a book right now talking about storing nukes in like Turkey, and we didn't even tell them for 30 years. I get it. All that aside, there is a threshold where that means nothing to me,
Yeah,
and it's call it what it is. Human trap. No. It's adults penetrating children and having sex with them. That's what it is. There's no, well, national security. No, you're gonna burn in hell, and I'm gonna burn in hell if I don't do everything in my power to draw attention to this. That's where I kind of go Republican. I don't care if Donald Trump is implicated. Put it all out. I don't care if Baz is implicated. If I'm implicated, put it all out. It is such a non-negotiable
yeah,
level of evil. And
yeah,
that's where I'm coming down on it. I don't care what it could upset the entire order. If the entire order is predicated upon the fucking of children, then it's not an order that deserves to live. So, not to soapbox, but that's kind of
yeah.
how
I
I feel
agree.
about this. Um,
Well, it's interesting on the Epstein thing when it all came out long time ago, of course. A lot of people were concerned that it would never get pushed all the way to the top. I mean, Epstein supposedly died, and so very much like the Kennedy files, a lot of people thought that it would follow in line with that, that we'd never ever get a chance to look at it.
yeah.
And we still haven't looked at all the Kennedy files yet, of course. But one of the things that we were talking about within our small community was what's the next distraction they're going to use to kind of make the Epstein files okay. And it wasn't long after that, all of a sudden, guess what happened? Epstein was a spy. He was working for a government, like to make it okay that
Yeah.
they were using
National
children for that.
security.
So here we go. Now people are distracted, or oh, it's not so bad. He was doing his job. He was doing
No,
work. Oh, it's a
no,
it's a spy business or whatever.
no.
We weren't buying it. It wouldn't matter. Look, I know within the clandestine services of the world that things like this have been done before, but I'm not buying this with the Epstein stuff. It was a distraction, uh, actually by the Democrats, if I'm not mistaken, to just say, okay, this is what we're discovering about Epstein. No, and very much like you, we drew the line there too. It's like it involves children or the rape
No,
of children, whatever.
no.
It's not right. So we're going to see we're going to see, and we don't know all the obstacles that Pam Bondi and other people are up against when it comes to that. Whether she has to fly to New York and you know go there or whatever they've got to do to get a lot of that information. But it was really funny, and we're talking about this. You remember the Anthony Weiner computer?
Mm-hmm.
Did we ever see what was on that?
No.
No. They just kind of, it just kind of it just kind of dissolved into the shadows. So there's a lot of stuff to still dig up and that we need to see. Same thing like the 9/11 Commission. Did we ever see an unredacted report? I didn't.
17 or 18
Why
pages still
didn't we, the
redacted. Yeah.
people, get to see that?
Yeah. Because there's a lot of ties to the Saudis. And You can't have that. You can't have that when the guys that give us $1 trillion in oil are, and related to the oil depletion allowance through Bush and Bush Senior. Yeah, they don't like that. And again, back to even things like I think some people were surprised to find out that like Hollywood has a liaison office with the Pentagon. So something like let's say Transformers, which are fun brain dead movies. I'm guilty of it. I like watching a dump truck beat the shit out of an alien. It's funny. I get it.
Mhm.
But there's all these liaison offices, and you can even find files and stuff. Like came out forever ago, where it's like, yeah, the Pentagon got to look over their script, and in turn, they let them, use MRAPs and tanks and F-22s and all that. They just got to make sure that the military was portrayed in a positive light. In return for, you didn't have to pay any royalties to use this equipment for shooting a movie. And that you might say, well, it's a children's movie, it doesn't matter. Well, even at a non-children's movie, I understand that. Yeah, it's not 1945. It's 2025. There is a propaganda war. It is psyops, and we if we're not infiltrating Hollywood, the Chinese are. Again, I'm saying all this to say like I understand it's not all Boy Scout world, and it's dirty, and we do this stuff, and that's why we're getting, that's why we're placed here, or that's we're only defending Taiwan because they create. Yeah, I understand it. I know it's dark and hazy, and all this stuff there if you don't have a level, if you don't have a line that you won't cross over, then you are compromised as a human being. And I don't mean compromised in terms of an asset for the United States. I don't mean as treasonous for the United States. I mean you're compromised as a human being in the eyes of God. And all this stuff as I look at so it's like let's just say like a counter argument would be if all this stuff gets released, it's going to implicate X, Y, and Z and it's going to result in this, and it could result in a million people dead in a war that breaks out. And they go, or we keep it mum that let's just say 10 kids were fucked. No, I think a million people deserve to die, and by that I mean myself included because I'm 34 years old. I'm an adult. You could say, well, Tommy, you had no part of this. I'm still an adult. I have a brain that functions. And it's on me for maybe not getting involved in politics earlier. That's on me. I'm more literate now, but for a lot of college, it was, yeah, I don't care about that. That's on me, an adult who used his free will to stick his head in the sand for his 20s. It was like, yeah, politics doesn't affect me. If it does affect me, then I deserve to die. Truly, I cannot. It's just an impenetrable wall. Children are innocent. They didn't do anything. They've they're pure. They've done nothing. And that's where I come down on. So everything else is dancing around it and well, Pam Bond. This is how I look at it. Two of my Marine buddies, artillerymen, served in Afghanistan, both PTSD, both injured. Both were video documentarians on January 6th, and both were raided at the same time in separate states at 2 a.m. by an FBI tactical team last summer. Spotlights, trucks, guns raised for January 6th. Now they've been pardoned. God is good. If you can do that and these aren't Delta Force guys where it's like they might fight back. Two guys who've been out of the military for 15 years and their crime was videoing January 6th. If you can do that, then Pam Bondi can roll up to whatever office with a tactical team. And if you're not doing that, it tells me you either don't have the balls, it tells me that you're either not in charge, or it tells me that you two are complicit. So, I mean, I don't even know how to go about this, but it's my point in all my blabbering today is you have to have a line that is not allowed to be crossed. And and if we don't draw that line as a nation, we were spared hell on earth last summer with that bullet missing. God gave us a blessing that rarely happens in world history. We are going to take that blessing and shit on it if we look at this and go, well, maybe sometimes this just happens with children. We deserve to die in thermonuclear hellfire. I truly believe that. And if you can't draw the line there, man, then it's not a world, it's not a country, it's not a civilization worth saving. So I'll stop. I know I'm just just screaming at you.
That's good.
Hey, Baz, listen up.
Well, one interesting thing is I listened to 47's speech last night. Did a great job. Um, and you know he did a great job because the whole Democratic side of the House there just kept their mouth shut. You know, they had no defense. You know, everything he said was all true. And yeah, they're pathetic. You know, this is the only time, and I have friends who are Democrats that some that became Democrats and now they're Republicans, and some are still Democrats, but they're kind of from that old Kennedy Democrat era. You know, they're a lot up in age and stuff, but they don't agree with the Democratic Party here in America at all. What they now call the Communist Socialist Democratic Party. Um, so, but he did say something last that was interesting. He said a lot of great things, but um, he said, I believe that God spared my life so I could make America great again. And I believe him wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I have no reason to doubt that. And with that in mind, the people that he is selecting uh, for his cabinet and to run a lot of different things, that selection process has been pretty good so far. But even with that, we all know that sometimes you don't select the right people at the gate. And so it takes a little time to see if they can do their job. So, and speaking to what is happening with Pam Bondi and them, I don't know the complications that she's up against when it comes to this. I don't even know her personally, but I know that if Trump put her in place,
Yeah.
he trusts her to do something. And I think, and I'm going to take a leap here, and hopefully the president never slaps me for this, but I like to think that if all of a sudden he's dissatisfied with her performance, he'll do the old "you're fired" thing, which I admire, to be honest with you. Look, if he's put me in a job and I couldn't do it, I probably wouldn't even give him the chance to go, "You're fired." I'd probably step up to the plate ahead of time, and go, "Sir, thank you for this opportunity, but just couldn't pull it off."
Yeah.
I'd leave with a little bit of a little bit of honor,
Little
but
grace.
so I think we were only 4 weeks into it now, something like that. So, um,
No, that's
I,
fair. It's
yeah, so it's going to take a little time. But what's interesting, within that short period of time, a lot's getting done. And it's not only getting done with uncovering things, but it's getting done. It's like a simultaneous attack it's on two fronts. You're getting things done that need to be done to save America, and at the same time, you're having to clean house and get rid of the opposition that's going to prevent you from doing all these great things to save America, so to speak. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen over the course of a little more time. And so when we talk about things like, this thing that Pam Bondi is dealing with in the Epstein files, it's a little bit easier now with this administration for me to sit back and take a breath and go, okay, let's give it a little time here,
sure.
because I know they're on the right track and they're doing the right things. I mean, every day that I wake up, I see that a bunch of woke liberal left yahoos have been fired from their jobs, and now it's all about, yeah, being hired on merit. And what's so interesting is we have so many people that do knee-jerk reactions. They'll, like up here at Estes Park, we have people protesting about forestry service members being let go, right? And you have to ask yourself, but they don't. You have to ask yourself, okay, their supervisor had to choose those people that they wanted to let go. And they were probably people who weren't doing their job. But what everybody doesn't, people don't understand is they can reapply for their job. But this time when you apply for your job, you have to do it on merit. And so the majority of those people that are being let go will never reapply for their job. The government didn't say they could, and in fact, they said they could, but they know they can't cut it because now the microscope is going to be on them and they're going to have to perform. Whereas before it was like you're woke, liberal, whatever, DEI, whatever that bunch of baloney was, you just got hired whether you could do the job or not. So, new sheriff in town, back to the old America the way it is. And I think we'll benefit from that.
No, and that's a fair counterpoint. And I do have to be I do have to be careful and self-critical of because it's always absolutely easy to just be some self-righteous loudmouth and point out what's wrong in the world. It doesn't take a genius to say what's wrong in the world. It takes a little more of a nuanced and patient mind to look at it and to say give it time. And that is fair. I know I'm coming out screaming, but that is fair. It has been 5 weeks, and yeah, sure, that's a fair point. And Yeah, I mean, time will tell. And I mean, to his credit, they've already done incredible things. But yeah, I don't know. I always say, I think it comes back to a conversation I had with you, where you said if, it's not enough that, you aren't involved in children. It's like if you're not, once you find out about it, it's like if you're not actively doing something in your power to help, even if it's donating $5 a month, you said you deserve to burn in hell. And I truly believe that. I don't think it was directed purely at me. I think the general you, but I truly believe that. It's one thing if you're completely unaware, if I'm just doing my podcast just willy nilly, I have no idea this happens. But for me, it's like, okay, I have a podcast, I have a platform, I know you, I know Dr. Chambers, and now I know about this. I do have to do something because now there's no excuse. Now, if I'm eye to eye with God and he goes, hey, what was that whole thing about? You had like 50,000 subscribers on a podcast and you knew Bass. You just like never really did a show about what was that about? And that's how I think about it is, I don't know. I also kind of look at it as like the nuclear option. It's like if that can't be broached, to me, nothing else matters. It's like, okay, well, we didn't release that list, but we made America great. It's like, okay, but built on what foundation? We made it great. Oh, we're going to Mars. Unemployment's down. What is that based on? Is it based on the defilement of children? Well, then it doesn't deserve to be great. It deserves hellfire. But again, I understand it's very easy for me to sit back in my chair, with a blanket and talk about what Trump should be doing. He's fighting a group. He's fighting an international group of satanic occultists who fuck children and profit off. I get it. It's a little more like, hey, Tommy, give it a minute. I understand that too. So, um, but I don't know. I don't really know where I was going with that. What were you saying right before when we were talking about the woman who was fired? They said, where'd the
Yeah.
320,000 kids go? And she said, I don't know. Can you elucidate that for the listeners?
I wish I could, Tommy. I can't speak enough on it. It just came in
Sure.
today.
Okay.
But let me take a look here what I've got.
Yeah, you're good.
She was in charge of refugee settlement, and we know that. Yeah, Trump's changing leadership, which is great. So, officers need to be able to track down migrant children who've entered the United States with their parents. Okay, we got that and all the other ones. But yeah, I think what's happening here is Trump's just putting right people in place and those who aren't. Interesting about the president, study the history of Donald Trump. He's not a guy that starts a project to get egg on his face, nor does he allow the people that work for him to embarrass him or embarrass the company, or believe it or not, to embarrass themselves. And so those who understand the wisdom of how he works would do well by paying attention to a lot of the strategies that he's applied over the course of time, way before he came 45 and 47. So with that in mind, I think that whoever he appoints to do a job, I'd like to think that the conversation kind of goes like this. I'm here to serve the American people. I'm here to protect them and to protect you. And I want you to do a great job for the American people. So get out there and do it. But yes, be aware that if you don't do your job and you embarrass the American people, I'm going to get rid of you and put somebody there that can do the job. I, I, I don't think that's unreasonable, to be honest with you. I mean, I do that with my Strike Force Recovery Team guys. They can come from any tier one background that they want to, but I still have the conversation with them to say, this is what we're doing. We're not in Afghanistan. We're not in Iraq. We're not in Angola. We're not here. We're here rescuing children in America or on foreign soil. And this is the SOP that we follow. If you can do that, you're good. If you can't do that, you got to go. And I've actually had to actually get rid of people, and not in a rude way, but just
Sure.
saying, you, excuse me, you're not doing the job. And children's lives are on the line here. So, it's just not a good fit for you. And I'm gonna ask you to leave. So I think that's real hope for America, to be honest with you, when it comes to all the things that all the things we're going to uncover here. And I believe we're going to uncover more. I think we know how bad a few things are, but I don't think we really know how bad it is yet. We haven't had an opportunity to look underneath the carpet, but Trump has hired a lot of carpet cleaners for his staff, and I think they're going to show us where the dirt is. And I think they're gonna do what makes bad people uncomfortable. They're gonna show us the dirt, and those people are gonna have to go away. I hope those that have committed crimes go to prison, to be honest with you. I'm still waiting on the people that put the J6ers, behind bars without justification or conviction or whatever it may be. I'm waiting for someone to put them behind bars. It's like, here, let's give you a taste of what injustice looks like. So, um, we'll see. We'll see what happens with all of this stuff. I think we're at a point too, Tommy, which is really interesting. And it's really actually funny now. Whenever you see the Democrats or opposition to this administration, what they don't get is we don't care anymore about you. We don't care about your woke stuff. We don't care about you think it's okay to be a minor attracted person. We don't care anymore. You're not a threat to us. So if we're not paying attention to you, guess what? There's a reason for that because we saw what you were all about in the last administration. We just don't care. So we don't get upset with it anymore. Now, much to what you spoke of when you opened the show, yeah, God blessed us. Yeah, we've been blessed for this 4 years, to have this. But the war is actually just beginning. It's actually just beginning. So, um, the one thing that I know that evil hates is if you can reach out and touch it and put it behind bars. And we've lived in a society of technology that people believe that if I write about it or I tweet about it, something's being done about it. Evil doesn't care. You can tweet all day long.
Yeah.
It'll engage in the fight with you. Stupid people will. And what's effective is when you physically reach out
And
and you
touch
get a
them.
hold of them as a person and you do something to
Yeah.
them, like incarcerate them or put them in jail for their crimes or whatever it may be, and hold them accountable physically. It gets to the core, and
Yeah.
we need to do a little bit more of that.
Yeah. No, and I see that in myself and I try to be critical of that. And that's also, I mean, it's in some, let's say it's 2020, 2021, 2022, at the height of the COVID hysteria. It is a lot to talk about it. And I did that on my show. But it also gets to a point where you're like, there's only so many things you can do to spread awareness before you're no longer really doing anything. Like it's self-narrative, it's self-gratification. I talked about this, I talked about that, and it's you wave a little flag with your face on it. And I think that's an issue, and that's why I have you on, and that's why I put your link in the description. Is like we're all aware. Like we're all aware of you don't need to, donate to cancer awareness. Everyone's aware of cancer. You no longer need to be aware of it. It's not a mystery. We know what it is. Everyone's aware of human trafficking. We're raising awareness. Shut the fuck up. What's happening? And that's why I hold you on the highest pedestal. I'm like, you boots on the ground physically. No problem. Remove problem. And yeah, no, I guess maybe a loose step in the right direction would be the designation of the cartels and gangs in Mexico as terrorist organizations because one
Yeah,
of their cash flow, not one, a major one, if not eclipsing drugs, is human trafficking. And you know at least it seems like the gears of the military apparatus are, even if the that's not the explicit goal, if the explicit goal is to destroy and limit these cartels by default, if one of the cartel's forms of revenue is human trafficking, then it is tangentially related to, well, now the power of the U.S. military is technically going against human trafficking. I know it's not as clear cut as that, but a flow chart I think would indicate that. So, could you maybe touch on that? It will. Do you think we'll see any sort of change to where it's not just you guys, like it's because it's bad that I mean, you guys are doing the Lord's work, but it's bad that it comes down on y'all's shoulders. Like this should be an entire department of the military. This should be a branch of the military. Navy, Army, Marines, Air Force, Space Force, and kill human trafficker force. Like that should be
Yeah,
that should be part of the bloated Pentagon budget. Do
it
you see
should
any
be. Yeah,
change?
I wish we were that department.
Yeah, I know, right? It literally should be.
Yeah,
You do
it's
a great, get a
not
credit.
difficult for me
Yeah,
to raise an army, believe me.
yeah,
Spending your career in foreign countries, building up armies for war. Trust me, it's
yeah,
not.
yeah.
Maybe
It
the
can
word
be
will get to
done.
47 and Tom Holman, and they'll go, okay, take art and force multiply it to a 5,000 person army
Yeah,
and just go get kids. That'd be
yeah,
great.
yeah.
I think what's going to happen is, the military will prioritize terrorists first.
Hmm.
Anything that they pick up after that, whether it's intelligence or children or whatever it may be, I think it'll be a secondary priority.
Sure.
Because we want to wipe them out, wipe their business model out, whether it's children, drugs, whatever. So I think 47's decision to do that was really wise. What I find funny is that when he announced it last night on TV, that none of the Democrats applauded. And when somebody asked me, he said, "Did you see that? Why was that?" And I'll tell you why it was. And there are people that have these files, and I've seen these files. There are people in the Democratic Party that have ties to the cartel. And if you're listening to this show right now, you know who you are, and I know who you are, and there are other people that know who you are and have seen your photos with the cartel, and those packages have gone up to the right people. So don't be surprised, hopefully, if one day someone knocks on your door and you guess what? You end up going to prison. So anyway, with that in mind, um, it's a big business model. If you look at the $152 billion child sex trafficking business model, then you add fentanyl, then you add illegal weapons, then all the other illegal commodities, then somebody's making a lot of money. And the cartel, as you and I know, as most people kind of think of the cartel as like Soniola, CJ&G, but the cartel is worldwide and it has money, more money generally than any government in the United States. So it's a big dragon to fight. So I think that that's what you'll see with our military forces. And then you'll hopefully see organizations like ours either be a direct hire or a congressional letter of marquee or deputized or whatever it may be to either supplement federal mission, so to speak, and or work independently to go out and do what we've done for 33 years, which is just focus on rescuing children. Um, as much as I hate terrorists, and I was a counterterrorism officer for a while in the Marine Corps and in the CIA, that in itself is a big ball of wax. So I couldn't be able to do that and then
Sure.
do this. So I think we'll try to stay in our lane um, and just go save children while the military does this. And then maybe the two will cross over from time to time in some kind of joint operation or whatever it may be, which would be just dandy. Um, but as you know me, Tommy, and being around our organization 33 years and doing this when nobody was paying attention to it, it doesn't really matter what everybody else is going to do. We're going to still go get children. And there's nothing that prevents us from doing that, as US citizens in our country here in America. Nothing. Um, Most American citizens don't realize what their rights are, you know, whether it's citizens arrest or whatever it may be. If you see a crime being taken place, you can do something about it. Um, Most people don't. They are just satisfied with defunding their police department and then expecting their police department to do everything and be everywhere and stop every crime. That's not the way it works. You need a good community policing program. You need a good alliance with your police department. You need to stop cutting their budget down. You need to make sure they're trained properly. I mean, there's a lot the community is responsible for, and yet the communities don't get involved. They don't go to the mayor's office and generally say, okay, we only have 3 police officers in our town. We need 12. Or guess what? Our police officers don't have bulletproof armor. We need to budget for that. Or our police officers get 2 hours of anti-trafficking training on a computer. They need 6 days, so they understand the entire AL. So I throw this back at the people. You hear me talk a lot about we the people. Yeah, we the people need to get our act together. Stop thinking that somebody else is doing it. All of these people, whether it's the mayor, the city clerk, whether it's whoever it is, we have to run oversight on a lot of that stuff, and we have to support that, or otherwise it takes a life of its own. And then when corruption happens, we want to blame somebody. Guess what? Blame yourself. Blame ourselves for not looking and paying attention. Even to this day, particularly after I saw so many people not get involved, and particularly after I started working with America's Future and General Mike Flynn and Mary O'Neill and just that whole group of people, I realized how important it was for American people to be involved, and so instead of whining and complaining, because the Constitution does say we the people. So I got to the point, Tommy, where people would complain to me about something going wrong in the government, local, state, or whatever. And I'd look at them and I finally went, well, then do something about it. It's your fault.
Hmm.
You're talking about money being stole from the courthouse. Well, why were you watching it? And everybody's always, well, it's not my job. Yes, it is. The function of this nation is our job. Every single American here, if you're going to live in a country that where veterans bleed for your freedom, then guess what? Do something instead of complaining about it. You don't like your senators? Get them out of office. You don't like what the mayor's doing? Then have a talk with him and get him out of office if he doesn't do it. You don't like corruption and money disappearing in your town or your city? Then do something about it. Go investigate it. You know, and we can do this because we've seen people when they really, really target an issue, they rally.
Yeah.
They rally. So if all these other organizations can rally for stupid stuff, and get money to send 4,000 people in pink suits to Washington, D.C. You mean you can't rally enough to stop corruption? You can't rally enough to save children? Give me a break. You know,
Mm.
everybody wants to point the finger at somebody else.
Yeah. No, and it's because it's easy. And then, like you said about awareness or talking about it, that's the next pitfall. And that's happens to me a lot where I'm like, oh, I did a show about it. I'm doing my part. It's like, not really. I mean, it's better than nothing, but not really. And that's a self-critical thing that you have to do. To be like, am I just, waving my hand? Ah, that's so bad. It's like, well, what are you actually doing about it? And yeah, I mean, I get it. It's difficult, I don't know, the average person, you feel lost or, helpless. I get it, but you gotta start moving in one direction and kind of back to what I was saying earlier. You gotta have a red line that's not crossed. And you gotta get right with God. And I mean,
Yeah, that's a good point. Got to get right with God first.
get right with God and I would say this. Practice trying to lie to yourself. And then that might give you an idea of what it's going to be like when you're face to face with the creator. Well, I couldn't. You ever try to lie to yourself and it just doesn't work because, it's you and you know the lie? Well, yeah, that's why. Shut the fuck up. I'm lying to myself about how did I gain 5 pounds? It's because you ate Christmas food every day for 2 weeks. Who are you lying to? You did this. Try lying to yourself, and that's what it's going to be like to lie to you guys. Why didn't you do anything? Well, I'm not a tier one operator. You didn't have to be part of a strike group with Baz. Did you have $5? Could you have given $5? Could you have retweeted something? Yeah, you could have. Why didn't you? And if you
Mm.
can't extend that 1 millionth of an ounce of effort, how how do you how can you realistically expect that kind of forgiveness and leeway from God? I don't know. I don't know. And so I don't know. It's also, I had such a beautiful, loving upbringing that I'm like, yeah, yeah, I had, my worst problem as a kid was like, I broke my Lego. Like, it is a moral imperative that you have to make sure that's like what other kids' worst problems are. So, but again, it's also very easy for me to sit here in my chair and pontificate, what is right and what is wrong. So I get that as well. But,
Well, you're
um,
doing your part too. You and I had this talk a year ago more when you said, what can I do? thinking about you need to physically be out in the field. And I said, you're doing it. You're exercising your talent because the stuff we know, we can't get out there without a voice.
Sure.
And you're that voice for a lot of people and for America, so
Thank you.
everybody's got a talent and they should use it if they can, in the right way. I always say it's not about walking the right path, but are you walking the path the right way?
Hmm.
You gotta look at that. And the one good thing I know about you that when we talk about this is you take a look deep inside yourself often to make sure that your moral compass is straight. And it doesn't mean that we don't get off track. We all do.
Sure.
All of us do. But the difference between us and a lot of people is that we look at the compass and we go, "Whoa, okay, I need to get back on track." A lot of people take the compass and they just throw it away or they put it in their pocket or whatever. And yeah, it's a really interesting. The reality of it is we will be preaching this message, whatever the great good message is, until you and I and others like leave this earth, and then hopefully somebody else will pick up that to keep the moral compass straight and everything. In the end, good will win. We know the end of the story, and no matter how daunting it may look from time to time, we know what happens and when God returns, and yeah, we get all that. It's funny. It's it's funny. I was listening to when we talk about people where they stand with a lot of things, with God, with their belief in the country, whatever it may be. There's a scripture in the Bible where God says, you need to be either hot or cold. But if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out of my mouth. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
it's like, what does that mean? What did he mean by that? And it's interesting. I was listening, our pastor had this great analogy. I'd never heard it before. And he goes, I get up every morning. He goes, I love a hot cup of coffee. He goes, oh, it's so good. And he goes, and I have one special cup, and my hot coffee is in that cup, and I know it. He goes, but the other morning I got up and I grabbed the wrong cup, and I drank a little bit of it, and it was lukewarm and I spit it out. It was yesterday's coffee that didn't finish up. And he goes, what's that like in your life? He goes, do you want a hot cup? He goes, coffee. He goes, it's either iced coffee or it's really hot coffee. He goes, with the coffee in the middle, he goes, it's horrible. It's horrible. And I started thinking about that and I thought, it's kind of got a point there and everything. So
Be decisive.
when
Yeah.
Jesus said that scripture, I kind of went, oh, wow, that kind of makes a little bit of sense to me. It's like, if you're cold with your belief, you can probably get warmed up. Maybe if you're hot already, but the lukewarm thing, it doesn't taste that great. And it might
No.
not. So I don't think lukewarm Christians are that great to God either. And that's why he says, make a decision here. So
Yeah.
anyway, I was just decided to
It's
share that because I thought it
no,
was just
no,
a little funny.
no. It's why I like, if I take a day off from the podcast, I also take a day off from the gym and I take a day off from reading because if I'm not doing the podcast, I find myself I'm just kind of dilly-dallying at the gym instead of being like, I gotta finish this up. I have a show coming up. I kind of, waltz on down and take a shower, maybe shave, maybe I'll put on a clean shirt. It's just bleh. Versus when there's like a deadline. I wake up, I have a show in 2 hours. I got a lot of stuff to do between now and then, and I just do it all well and I do it efficiently. And it's like if I'm gonna not do a show, I'm gonna take the whole day off and like lean in. So it's like I'm either very hot or it's like if you're gonna be cold, be icy cold. Lazy day, bathrobe. I ain't doing shit today. But the worst days are just this weird 1 foot in,
Yeah, one
foot
foot
out.
in, one foot out.
I kind of
Yeah,
get my heart rate up at the gym. I'm doing like half a curl. And it's like, what are you even doing? If you're not gonna do it, don't sit on the couch, rest up. Because if you rest up, you can actually get something out of it. You're ready to go tomorrow. So
that's right.
then lastly, and I'll find the image and send it to you. And we'll wrap it up because I gotta go in a minute. But I was gonna say there's a quote I saw that I also kind of think of a lot. And it's the sun can burn your skin from
Yes.
93 million miles away and you expect to casually stroll into the presence of its creator.
I know. I've heard that. It's
Okay.
it's a really
I
good.
think why is a
Yeah,
white Irish guy that gets burned? It's not even a significant star. It's a rather tiny one. You think I'm just gonna waltz on into the presence of its creator? What's up, God? Yeah, no, sorry about the child trafficking thing. I was kind of busy. It's the Almighty. It's not it's not your boss. It's the Alpha and the Omega, man. Y- Understand. Just under that's how I look at it. It's like, yeah, dude, there's no lying. There's purify yourself. And the beauty of Jesus is instead of going, well, I've already fucked up so much, what's the point? Well, you can turn back and go, hey, I've really messed up. Lord Jesus, come into my heart. Please give me direction. What do I need to do going from this foot forward? You can do that on the last day of your life. And if you genuinely have a change of heart, it's you can do that. So don't feel like it's all lost. It's keep moving forward, but just try to do that. Look inside, look at the compass. And there's another thing, it's like we all have egos. You don't need to come on a podcast and talk about how, you're not happy with yourself internally. You don't have to make a Facebook post about it. You can, in the quiet of your own mind, you can lay down at night and go, all right, God, I haven't talked to you in 30 years. I don't feel good about who I am or how I've been treating people. And I would like just show me what to do and I'll do it. You can do it. You don't have to make a big like hat in
Mhm.
your hand, humble display. Cause I get it. We all have ego. I have ego. I don't want to, I don't want to act like an idiot. I get it. You can do it quietly. You can do it gracefully and quietly and just, no one's there judging you. Hey, God, I want to do the right thing. I don't even know how to do the right thing. Can you help me out? So it's another meme I saw is when God calls on you to do something, remember he's already taken into account that you're retarded and he still chose you. So
Ah,
you go,
that's
God, I'm
great.
not worthy. It's like, yeah, no, he already looked you up and down and went, I know, but I'm just telling you to mop the floor. You don't need to be a brain surgeon. I'm giving you an
That's
easy
great.
task,
Whatever God
buddy.
calls you to, He'll equip you. And
Yeah.
I just said this last. I was just on a thing last night. The class, the Citadel, they get together, and there was like 33 guys on there. Uh, they just have a gathering, Bible study thing, and they asked how things were going, and I told them how it was going with art, and I said, I just want you guys to remember one thing: don't let anybody ever tell you, I don't care what type of tier operator they are, how many times they've been downrange, how many bad guys they've laid in the dirt. Don't let anybody ever tell you that they were unto themselves, that they did it all themselves. Because I'm going to tell you what, if it were not for God spearheading at least what we do, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Hmm.
And only a foolish man will say, look at me, I did this. Let me tell you what, God does not need your belief or your unbelief to exist.
Mm.
Look at the air. Can you see it? No. But you breathe it and it's there. So for all you people out there go, well, I can't see God. Yeah, he's there, trust me. So it's a really interesting dynamic. And I'm glad you pointed those things out. And you are right. We all fall short. We all come short of the glory of God. And we all miss the mark. That's what sin is, missing the mark. It's an old archer's term. And when we finally get to the point where we realize that nothing in the world satisfies us, it doesn't feed our soul, and we realize just how bad we've been with life, there is one place to turn, and that's Jesus Christ. And it is true where you say, Lord, look, I missed it. Mark, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I really want you in my life. I need help. And just I'll do it. Just come into my life. I always tell a lot of people when we're talking about this kind of stuff, Tommy, and I think you know enough about me. I always tell them, I go, be careful what you ask for. If you're looking for a life of obedience and fun and spiritual richness and miracles and a peaceful heart, then ask Jesus Christ into your life. If you don't, go try something else. You
Yeah.
know,
That's
it will
that's
not feed your soul.
that's the other thing. It's like the other side of the coin is like it's not all super heavy, what do I do? I'm a bad person. It's also like there's also an upside to it where it's warmth. You feel
Yeah.
love. You're like, hey, you know what? Maybe this thing isn't going to work out here. It's not going to work out. Or maybe I don't beat the cancer or I don't get the girl or whatever. I'm falling back to God. And it creates a very strong bond that, I mean, dude, it's worth it. It's
Yeah.
worth it. That's what I'd say. There's no wrong way to do it, man. You just quietness of your own mind. Just be like, I God, if you're there, and you can, hey, you're not gonna offend them. Be like, dude, I don't even really kind of believe. I don't even believe in you. But if you are there, can you just nudge me? He will, man. He's
Yeah.
psyched to do it. He's
Yeah.
he's thrilled to help you out. It's
Yeah.
call your grandma. She's always gonna pick up. All
That's
right.
right. Yeah.
She's thrilled to hear from you. That's God. He's dude. I haven't heard from you forever, man. What's up? Like he's there for you, man. It's yeah. So
Yeah. Do it
that's
with
what I
good intent of your heart. I don't, a lot of people want God in their life because they want him to do something for them.
yeah
And I tell people, I go, look, when you get to the point where you just want to be with God, that's it.
yeah
All the other stuff will come. But if you're looking as God like this guy who's just he's
running
your
errands.
supplier for all your needs and stuff, that's going to be short-lived, really easy. It's no different than you and I who had friends where every time they show up at our door, they want something from us,
Yeah,
versus the friends that just show up and they want nothing from us
they just want to hang
except for
with
to
you.
be with us. And those are the people that we care the most about
Hmm.
because they're not trying to take advantage of us. So I tell people, don't try to take advantage of God. Trust me, just like Tommy said, you're going to stand before him one day. And so what are you going to say to God? Well, you didn't give me everything I wanted to get from you. And God's going to say, yes, I did. I gave you eternal life. You could be burning in hell right now. And most people, whether it's fire and brimstone or whatever, have come to realize that, particularly with my relationship with the Lord and how many times He's always there for us in my heart or my mind and the miracles He works out in the children we save. And I see God in every one of those kids, even the ones that have lost souls, that have been raped and tortured or whatever it may be. And I realize that with that in mind, that eternal separation from God is hell.
It's hell. Yeah,
The ability to cry out and not have God respond,
yeah.
you want that the rest of your life. And I tell people sometimes, I said, trust me, eternity is real. You will walk from this life to another life. It'll be different, a little bit different, but you're going to go there. We're all going to go there. And God, Jesus Christ showed that as an example. He didn't just say it, He showed us, and 500 witnesses. So this is a historical moment that can never be ignored. And so, with that in mind, you have to ask yourself, do I want to be spending the rest of that other life and even this life calling out to God and Him not helping me or talking to me? What would that be like? Tommy, let's say you and I were best friends for our whole life. And so we'd always helped each other. And then one day I call out and you just ignore me. Or I call out and you're not in the room. And I keep calling. I call for the next month and the next year. And my best friend never answers. You know how I'd
An
feel?
awful feeling.
It's an awful feeling. No one to be there, no one to help you. That's our relationship with God. Put yourself in a position so that when you call, He'll always answer.
That's what the comedian Bill Hicks used to say. He was like, "Hell might be fire and brimstone." He goes, "It might also just be you're in a big empty room and he's not
That
there."
would be
And you
that'd
go,
be
"Where's the
horrible.
fire? Where's the demons?" And you go,
Huh.
"Call out to God," and you just hear your voice echo.
Yeah,
That's that's the absence of God, man. It's
yeah,
yeah, it's and I was gonna say lastly is yeah, don't ask God for I want this, I want that. And when you don't do that, you'll find God starts to deliver it. Like so many times I'd be like, I want my podcast to grow this much, or I want this to happen with this guest, or I want this to and instead I started just kind of praying for more like complete things. Like let me keep doing the right thing on my show. And okay, God wants me to do the right thing on my show. Well, that also includes having a show, which also includes it pays for itself. But it being, and next thing you know, a new revenue source is open up. You didn't ask for the revenue source. You asked for the ability to keep doing the right thing.
that's
Got
right.
a flow chart. Instead of asking for you, I want to go see this person today. Well, you didn't ask for a car, but if that's what it takes to get you to that person, then that's where it goes. So by starting to ask for the core things, I want to do the right thing. I want to be the right person. All the other stuff rises up under it. So it's you'll still get what you want. It's just not in the sense that you thought. So
Yeah.
that's what I'd say. But Baz, we got to wrap this up. I ran over my
All
own
right,
note.
buddy.
Yeah, we got to run.
Yeah.
But guys, please go to the description. Please go find the link to his Twitter and to ARC, the Association with the Recovery of Children. You could donate, just read about it, do something about it. And Baz, as always, I love you, brother. I love talking to you, and it's an honor to know you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Tommy. God bless you, man.
Yes,
Enjoy your
sir.
day, okay?
Yes, sir.
All
You
right.
as well,
Out here.
guys. Thank you so